I've just been growing up. Still working on that. Um, as you go, you learn things inevitably, whether you want to or not. Um, and I'm getting up there in age, so I've learned a lot, man. But some of it's worth knowing, and some of it isn't.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous's YouTube channel. We really appreciate you joining us for these fantastic conversations we're having with great musicians from around the world. We appreciate all of your subscriptions, all of your likes, your questions. Everything you do for us helps get the word out there as we continue our journey getting to know musicians all over the place. And today is no different. I'm going to be hanging with Ian North. He's a celebrated Canadian folk rock artist who recently released a new instrumental single titled Malahat. It's named after a scenic highway in Vancouver Island. If you've never been there, you should put it on your travel destinations. Ian's been through a lot in the last few years, and I'm looking forward to sharing his story with all of you today. So, Ian, welcome to The Hang.
Thank you. Good to be here.
No, I'm glad you're able to join me today. We typically start these in one spot, and it takes us who knows where. So let's start back at the beginning. Did you find music, or did music find you? What's your musical backstory?
Well, you can go way back. I was a big fan of Roy Rogers' old movies on the TV when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I was singing Home on the Range to the amazement of my parents. They went out and rented an old, it's a machine that makes actual vinyl records. And they recorded me singing at that point. They regretted it ever since because I didn't become a lawyer, I guess. But that was where it started. I just always loved melody and, moved on from there. Got my first guitar at 14. I took clarinet lessons, piano lessons, never really took, but yeah.
Well, did you take to music with a natural sense for it? Did it come naturally to you?
I wouldn't say no. It doesn't really come naturally. I had to learn a lot, especially as an instrumentalist. It took me a while to get my fingers working in the right direction, and but that's part of the interesting part is the learning how it works and where to go next.
Absolutely. Are you fortunate enough to have perfect pitch?
No, far from it.
Me too. It's that is my musical downfall. Don't ever ask me to listen to something and just start playing it. So,
no.
Now you mentioned Roy Rogers. Who are some of your earlier influences? Because you've got this like folk rock energy to your music. Who are some of the musicians that have been influential in giving you input so that you could craft your style and create the sound that you wanted?
Well, I would say, I started out listening to people like Bob Dylan and the Beatles, of course, and all that kind of pop music of the late 60s. And, James Taylor was big for me in the early 70s. Jackson Browne. People have compared my voice to Jackson Browne's voice. Who else? I don't know. Let me think. Carry on. I'll think of something else.
It's okay. We can come back to it. During that period, you started to learn guitar. You were 14. You mentioned. At what drove you to make a decision that was going to be the career that you wanted to follow, as opposed to going to, let's say, law school?
Well, yeah, that was more. I didn't I wanted something where I didn't have to sit in an office. That's for sure. I did never liked that idea, even from a very young age. And I was always thought of myself too, as far as musical influences go. That's one thing, but I've always thought of myself as a writer in a way more than a musician. And the lyric side of things has, always been a focus of mine. I write a lot of poetry, and I've been an editor of different venues, and so yeah, I think if the writing is as important, or maybe more important, than the playing and the performing.
You bring up something that's super interesting about, you're an editor of different pieces, the passion for writing. How do you feel about lyrics these days? I mean, we have a wide variety of music being thrown our way every minute of the day. I mean, there's so much content, but you brought up, some of the great songwriters, some of the great lyricists, like James Taylor, Bob Dylan. What is your sense of good lyric writing these days in today's music world?
It's hard to say. I don't listen to that much current music, really. Who do I like nowadays? It's hard to say. I mean, I still go back to that old stuff, and I listen to a lot of jazz with no lyrics. So hard to say who is writing good lyrics today. Probably a lot of people, but I'm not that tuned into what's on. I mean, we don't have radio really anymore. So it's hard to find those people. I go back to the old American songbook for some. The lyrics, they're, maybe not deep, but they are very clever. The rhymes are just amazing, and the approach to the flow of the song is amazing. Yeah. So that's something I still listen to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, as in your catalog of music, for someone new who may be sitting here with us today and just hanging out and hasn't experienced your music before, is there one or two of your songs that have a standout lyric that you feel fully represents you as in the way that you want to be heard by people, and that if I was to start with your music, it doesn't have to have ever been a single, it could be a deep cut, but like one or two songs that you feel are the ones that are the best entry into your music, and why?
Wow. I like, on the current album, Everything is Incomplete, I especially like Tumble Down and the title song. They're the most accessible in a way, I think, but I also love Landscape Architect, just because it's so kind of out there a little bit, In terms of older material, like the first album, Mystery Tavern, a lot of people like. On the second album, Skates was kind of sort of a single. We were just coming into Spotify in those days and out of people actually buying CDs. So it's never quite got the attention, but of all the songs on that album, it's got the most attention. Yeah.
Yeah. As you think about your musical catalog, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things from beginning of your time as a musician at 14 or whenever you began to write songs after that? What are some of the things that you feel skill-wise and creatively that have evolved to bring you to become a more complete musician to where you are today?
Well, I've just been growing up, still working on that. As you go, you learn things inevitably, whether you want to or not. And I'm getting up there in age, so I've learned a lot, man. But some of it's worth knowing, and some of it isn't. Like just the sense of I've become a lot calmer, I think, over the years. My first album had a lot of political material on it in a way, which I'm not that interested in commenting on that anymore. especially, well, nowadays it's kind of pointless. But yeah, I think that that's one thing that has happened in my music. And also, my skills as a musician have definitely increased. I couldn't really play lead guitar when I first started recording. I was hired other people to do that. Now I feel like, yeah, I'm eager to do that, on my own recordings. It's fun. And, my interest in jazz is kind of like fed into that and impelled me to learn some new things along the way.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time. What are some of those things that feed you so that you that gives you that fire to continue to grow and create?
Yeah, well, personal relationships, you're always, working on that. I've got a couple kids, had a couple of partners along the way. And, figuring out that stuff is always part of the songwriting process, isn't it? That's the main subject matter for most songs. But I like to expand out beyond that too. So, if not into politics and into, philosophy, or maybe philosophy is not the right word. It's more like just an attempt to understand what's going on around you, And as you go, you figure more stuff out, I guess. I don't know. I hope.
That's very, very true. Now we're going to get into talking about your latest album in a minute, but in I think it was in the fall of 22, you had a bit of a health scare, and it took a while for you to kind of regain things. Tell the story about the road to recovery and then how it's impacted your current album.
Well, yeah, I didn't. I made some music back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I toured England and in 2006, and after the release of Theory of Your Life. And then I kind of felt like I wasn't, it was too much of a struggle to sell CDs and tour, and wasn't getting the kind of action that, you need to keep it going. And I think a lot of people felt that way around that time. So years later, okay, flash forward to 22, we were living in a town about an hour and a half north of Toronto, out in the country on not really a farm, but with an acreage. And, kind of enjoying life. We sold a house in Toronto, and that gave us the mortgage-free capability. And one day I was locked the chickens in for the night, was walking up through the backyard, and I just went, and I collapsed, fell down on the ground, and I couldn't get up. And I managed, and my wife was inside the house. She couldn't hear me calling. And it was September, that's right. And so I eventually managed to crawl back and tell her about this, and ended up next day in collapsing again. Got an ambulance, went to the hospital. Turned out I had blood clots in my lungs, blocking the flow of oxygen to my blood. And it was pretty serious. They put me in a helicopter to take me to another hospital where they could handle my problems. And I was in a coma for 5 or 6 days. And when I woke up, I was not feeling that much better, frankly, and a little confused. But what happened was we had to sell our place and move to Toronto where I could get rehab, and went through that process for a few months. And really it was a year of rehab, going to different rehab places and exercising and strengthening again. When I was on a walker at home for the first few weeks, but eventually I'm back. I couldn't play guitar even. It was very difficult. And eventually I got back though. I'm back physically, almost, I'll say 95%. And yeah, so that was pretty weird. a very weird experience. And apparently I died a couple times. So they, kept me going with machinery. And here I am.
I personally had back about 15 years ago had a really bad car wreck. For all intent and purposes, I shouldn't be here. And you kind of, when things like that happen in life, your perspective can change a little bit. Your outlook can change a little bit. What kind of impact did that have on you as far as, creating new music, creating, just thinking about how you wanted to portray yourself at that point? I mean, those things are pretty impactful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what people ask me. Did you see the white light and all that kind of thing? And I say, no, I didn't see that, unfortunately. But it did. One part of that is it made me less fearful of dying, because been there, done that. It's just, there was just a black hole, and I woke up and it was still going, but I didn't know that I died. The other part of that is after a while of living in Toronto, my wife said one day, well, you got a lot of songs. Why don't you just make a new record? And I said, really? Because what's the music industry today? I don't even know what it is, if it even exists in any real sense. So, but eventually she talked me into it. And so that's really the record, and all the releases I've done since then have really come out of that, because it was saying, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I might as well resolve all these things I got lying around, Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Once you have something like that happen in your life, you tend to think, okay, if that didn't get me, nothing will. And I tell people that fear left my body that day.
Yeah.
So, that I have no fear left. So why worry about anything? Right.
Right.
It's incredibly impactful. Which songs, if any, that you have on the album, were directly influenced by that, that piece of your life?
I don't think any song that's currently been recorded. These are songs that existed before I had this event, and they had just been demoed and they'd never been formally recorded. So yeah, it's all come after the recordings. They were all existing beforehand, and I just sort of took them and made them real,
So is the good news that there are some songs that came out of that we can expect down the road?
Not really, no. I don't really write. I mean, I've released a couple of instrumentals, but I'm just fascinated by the instrumental at the moment. I might just go that way. I mean, lyrics are one thing, but I mean, if you can make a nice piece of music that's just somehow emotionally satisfying too, right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk instrumentals, and let's talk about your latest release, Malahat.
Right.
How did that come about? What about that stretch of highway and the building of it inspired you to create the song?
Well, my father's side of the family was all from BC. My father was born in Vancouver, and my cousins live out there. My aunt lived out there. My grandmother in Vancouver, and my parents retired to the island. And so whenever I would go out there over the years, either by myself or bringing my kids out there, we would go over. We would either drive down the Malahat or go over to Tofino, another favorite spot. But so when I had this instrumental lying around, it had just a demo of the guitar alone, and I thought, well, I've recorded Erica, another instrumental, and it was turning out to be very popular. So I thought, well, maybe I can revive this old one too, and got my producer Chris Gardner, who does an amazing job on these things as an arranger, and I don't know if you know any of these people, but he works with Laurie Cullen, Kevin Hearn from Bare Naked Ladies, and some world music groups. So I gave it to him, and he came up with a lot of sort of atmospheric, swirling notes that kind of brought it alive. And we were thinking, what's this is kind of a driving song in a way, right? So what highway? And I had this picture of my daughter that was, which if you go online, you see that picture associated with the song. It's my daughter from years ago, bouncing on a wall over a lookout on the Malahat Highway. And so I thought, oh yeah, I got this picture of the Malahat. I remember the Malahat, and it's a driving song. We originally thought maybe we want to call it Coquihalla. I don't know if anyone would know what that is, but it's another highway in BC. They seem to all have names for some reason. I don't know why. It's famous because there is no stopping, no gas station, no turn off on this Coquihalla. It's quite long, and you have to fill up before you get on it because you can't. The next place is like many miles away in a town called Hope. That's the next gas station. Hope.
You hope you make it.
That's right. And so then I thought, no, I got this picture of the Malahat. I want to use that. So, and it's a good driving song called Malahat. And then my wife, Jen, who makes the videos, came up with this footage of the original Malahat before any of us were born, the dirt road and one of the earliest film footages ever taken in Canada, or at least in BC.
Yeah, no, I was gonna get to that. I mean, I've seen the video, and from a historical perspective, the video alone tells a great story, right? Yeah. I mean, you really get a chance to see the evolution of this piece of highway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, BC was not even settled that long before 1912, right? So it's of course it's a modern place now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great video. Mm-hmm. What other songs do you have any other releases that are going to be upcoming from the album?
The next one is another single called North for Good, which is in production right now. And it's another story about driving. It's the story that my wife tells me about her childhood when their parents moved the kids up to, from Toronto, up further north, up to, because her father is originally from like Timmins or Cochrane, one of those places. But they put them in the back of a pickup truck and drove up there. And saying, no, we're going north. We're going north for good. That's it. I'm tired of Toronto.
Look, having once lived in Western New York and visiting Toronto many times, especially in the winter, I don't know if I could handle going north, to be honest with you. I have a cold allergy now. I prefer the warmth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I prefer the warmth. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, there seems to be this driving theme in your music. Was that plan B if in the event that music didn't work out for you? Were you going to be a race car driver, a long haul driver?
The closest I would come to that is maybe a cab driver or a delivery driver.
I'm just trying to see if there's a life thread we can.
I like listening to music in the car. That's the other connection, I guess.
We talk about music, and one of the things that I love is that you can at any day of the week, anytime, pull out a song that is brand new or that could be 100 years old. And music in and of itself, kind of like art on a wall, is a form of legacy. What do you hope that your listeners and your fans take away from your work? What do you hope that what type of enrichment do you feel that they get from it over time?
Wow. I mean, again, I go back to the lyrics. I think that there's always a kind of try to, anyways, have some kind of point, some kind of, or as in James Joyce, an epiphany, something going on there in those lyrics that is going to make you go, oh, like I was just thinking, you say you were had lived in Buffalo, and there's a song on there on one of the albums called "Leaving Buffalo," and it's about basically it's sort of the story of a homeless guy and how he got that way, and how but maybe through that lyric, people can go, oh, this is what, and maybe homeless people are real people too, and not just winos, And so there's a point to make, right? Or everything is incomplete, the title track from the album. I'm trying to say something about expectation and hope and despair. Don't give up. Everything is incomplete. Things are still in process, And maybe there's something to learn from that. Maybe people can get something out of that. So just a couple of examples. That's what I'm trying to do, I think,
And you should always gas up and hope.
And you should always gas up well before you get on Make sure you have a full tank at all times in all situations.
For all you could have been a mechanic. I have a question that always kind of fascinates me when it comes to the answer, because life is a series of events. And what I've learned from a lot of musicians is that when I ask this question, many of them tend to say, well, I remember the bad time more than the good time. But has there been a moment for you in your career in a performance that you just felt everything had come together and everything was exactly the way you had wanted it to be, and you were in the right spot for you, and it was kind of that perfect performance, that perfect moment for you?
It's probably more than one of those. I go back to when I was young. I was in an Ontario government program for youth musicians, and we had some great moments there because I played the National Arts Centre in Ottawa. I played the Canadian National Exhibition, and also I played concerts in Moosonee and Thunder Bay and places, isolated places. Some of those performances were just great. And another one was maybe one of the last performances I ever did, because I was thinking, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Keep wandering around playing, sometimes for a lot of people, sometimes for hardly anybody. It's unpredictable. And I think that was the one performance where I sold more CDs at that one performance than I had ever sold at any single performance before. But it was and I already decided to quit. Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Do you miss performing? Is that something that was integral for you as part of your creative path, or your desire for connecting with an audience? Do you miss that?
Not really. I mean, when we were talking about me making a new album and releasing new singles and so forth, we were really thinking. The first thing I said was, "Well, I don't want to tour. I really would prefer not even to perform at all, because there's a lot of work goes into that, and you have to know the material too, because a lot of this material was." I did it in the studio. I never performed it on stage, although I have a couple of times since the release, a few times actually. But yeah, I didn't really want to do that. I don't miss the performing. There are good things about it. I mean, when people appreciate what you're doing right there in front of your face, it's pretty good. It's pretty cool, But in terms of the gratification I get out of it just for myself, I'm not that sold.
No, you don't have a need to be on stage at 85,
No,
running
and
around
I'm
like
not
you're
gonna. Yeah,
23.
and I don't dance, so really, I don't fit in with the modern showbiz world. I don't think.
Then you won't be touring with Taylor Swift, I take it.
Well,
So
if she asks, I would probably go.
right there are some people, if they ask, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
So Taylor, if you're out there,
Yeah, right.
and you're paying attention, so since you don't have plans to tour and you've got this album out, you got another single coming out, what does the rest of the year look like for you? Are you now going down the path of other artists where, hey, if I feel creative, I'm just going to throw a single out there, not worry about the album? I mean, the music business has changed so dynamically and rapidly if you think about the last 15 to 20 years. What do you think it looks like for you?
Well, that's what we've been trying to figure out. Yeah, you can't really rely on sales of physical objects anymore at all. I don't think that's viable. Doesn't seem to happen. It's mostly streaming and live performance. So if you're going to leave out the live performance, that leaves you with, I don't know, nothing, I guess. But hopefully, I mean, I think the path is to keep recording, keep releasing on streaming services, and hope for the best, and hope that there's also licensing possibilities, and that's the place to start looking for financial rewards for music, I think. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you've seen what's happened in the last few weeks, but there's an artist here in the States. His name is Mondo Cosmo. And he had an album about, I think Shine came out about 5 years ago. And this song was used, I think, in the finale of The Reacher. And literally by the next day, he was number one on the Shazam charts, and he's flying up the Spotify charts. Mm-hmm. And he had no idea that the impact that having that song used in that show would be. So I think licensing is definitely
a place. And if you get to that point, maybe you would consider going out and performing, because now there's an audience that you don't have to develop; it's already there.
Well, okay, everybody, you just heard it. This is what it's going to take to get Ian to perform. You've got to create the demand. We need him to have another hit to really motivate him. So maybe you all can do that. You've had a fairly robust career. You've performed with a number of musicians, but I always like to kind of find out if you had a chance to and I'm not a bucket lister. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a just go out and live life kind of person. But if you had a chance to get into a studio with an artist for a day and be creative, who might that artist be, and why would you want to create with them?
Well, I mean, there's the kind of artists that I love, just in terms of my genre of music that I perform, like James Taylor, Jackson Browne, Paul Simon, those kind of people, the great singer-songwriters. But then there's the people that I could maybe learn from or use to enhance what I do. Like, I just love music by Pat Metheny, for instance. Who else? And Lyle Mays, but unfortunately he died recently. And people like that, the jazz guys, would be interesting to me because I'm not a jazz player, but I aspire to bring some of that into my music,
Well, we've put it out there. See, now you never know. The phone may ring. The phone may ring. I'm, as everyone who watches us knows, I'm a big supporter of purchasing music. Obviously, with looking behind you and that great record collection that you have that I'm in awe over. Supporting artists now more than ever with their music in any kind of physical purchase, right? Mm-hmm. So either buying a track on Apple or on Apple Music, buying it off of Bandcamp, things like that. And we're going to put all of your links down below so people can access your music. It's more important than ever to support musicians. That being said, we are also big supporters here of expanding people's listening. and
Yeah.
learning what a musician really enjoys listening to, whether it is while you're out walking, you could be meditating at the gym, something just to relax to, something to get, bring your energy level up. Are there two or three artists that you currently kind of have in a regular rotation to listen to that you really enjoy, and what is it about them that you like?
Yeah. There's one guy that I heard a few years ago, and he's always I always go back to him. This will sound a bit weird, but not so. He's kind of ambient. I like ambient music too. I listen to that quite a bit. And Kim Hjorthøy is a Norwegian guy who does very strange little kind of lo-fi ambient noise music, like very melodic, not noise music, but with little noises in it. And I love him. He's I think he just released something just recently. And who else? There's somebody I heard a while ago too. This is the Kit, British woman, really, I think, or I think there might be a duo there. Reminds me a lot of Imogen Heap. Who else? Let me look on my phone here and see if I can.
Well, that first artist you mentioned, he sounds like a much calmer version of Philip Glass.
Well, there's another guy I like is Stephen Reich. I listen to Stephen Reich. He's everybody knows he's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. Anything else? No, nothing comes to mind right away. It'll come to me after.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot for one more though. Yeah. If I was sitting there with you right now and I can see the fires going in the back room and you're like, I want you to hear this album in my collection, which one of those ones back there is the one that gets pulled out the most often?
Oh, Lordy. By the way, I should mention I have a podcast on YouTube where I take 3 or 4 records, I play them on the turntable, and play like 30 seconds to a minute of each, and just show the album cover and say a few nuggets about the artist, right? Nothing. So it's about 15 minutes of these records. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, I don't have, wait. I got to take my earphone out for a second. I can't reach. Here's a guy Canadian guy from Ontario, and he's been playing around. Went to his house concert last year, and his name is Benj Roland. He writes some really cool songs. Produced by Joel Plaskett, who another well-known Canadian singer-songwriter. I don't know if you ever heard of him. So there's something I'm eager to publicize.
What is the name of your podcast?
It's called My Groovy Life Video Review.
Well, we are going to make sure
vinyl review. Vinyl review. Yeah,
we're going to make sure there are links to that below as well, because
and all the videos
podcast.
All the videos for the songs are up there as well on that same YouTube page. Yeah.
From one podcast to another, it's hard to build an audience, and it's hard to continue to make content. And we have to have people coming to visit us. So I will make sure that information is down below as well to help support that. Ian, it's been great having an opportunity to get to know you. I appreciate you coming to the Hang. It seems that we've spoken with a lot of Canadian musicians lately. I always enjoy it. I lived close to Canada at one point. If you shook a bag of Hawkins cheesies in front of me, I might jump through the screen and come after those. And I'll tell you, you cannot get good poutine in Dallas, Texas. So, so I appreciate.
Well, if you're in Aurelia, there's a Smokes Poutine on Main Street. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, hey, look, it's always a pleasure to have great artists on. Everybody, thank you so much. Please go out, buy Ian's latest work, buy his catalog, enjoy his music, support him in any way that you can. We have to continue to support our artists. Art is not free, And it's something that you should own. It's a lot different in your life when you own it as opposed to renting it. So please go out and support you.
And I just want to say, iannorth.com. That's where you can get
iannorth.com. And you're going to find that down below as well. We'll make sure all the links are there. So everybody, thanks so much for joining us. And until the next time, and next time we get a chance to hang Ian, be well. Good to meet you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.